Buckle up for a prehistoric party. This week, we're taking a trip back to 2001 to dissect the alien comedy classic Evolution. Join us as we explore the bizarre world of mutating creatures, questionable science, and the unforgettable cast chemistry. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are talking about the 2001 sci-fi gem, Evolution. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a few ways that you can.
Did you know writing a review and or rating us helps us get more listeners? So if you want to be featured and help us grow, head to your favorite podcasting platform and leave us a review.
Looking for nostalgia makeup vibes? Check out Nosta Beauty's line of 90s and 2000s inspired makeup. Plus, you can save 20% off when you use the code NMLF. Just head to nostabeauty.com.
And conquer your fidgeting with a conquer ring. Reduce anxiety and feel empowered with these cool interchangeable fidget rings. They have a variety of styles that include hidden messages, crystals, and more. Plus, if you use the code Jackie10, you will save 10% off of your purchase. Just head to myconquerring.com. We're not alone this week. We're excited to have our returning guest, who happens to be my sister, back here with us. Welcome, Heather.
Yay! Hi, guys. So happy to see you on here again.
So if you want to get to know Heather a little better, come back later this week as we count down our favorite Ivan Reitman movies. And don't forget to go back to check out Heather during our Billy Madison and The Sweetest Thing episodes, as well as their bonus episodes. Our show notes will have all the links, but let's dive into Evolution.
A firefighting cadet, two college professors, and a geeky but sexy government scientist work against an alien organism that has been rapidly evolving since its arrival on Earth inside a meteor. And this wacky team are the only people standing between the aliens and world domination, which could be bad news for the Earth. The movie stars David Duchovny, Orlando Jones, Julianne Moore, Seann William Scott, and Dan Aykroyd. The movie was directed by Ivan Reitman and was written by David Diamond, David Weissman, and Don Jacoby. You can currently watch it on Pluto, but before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
Just napalm that bitch. It's trash.
The obsession with napalm in this movie. So Heather, what was your Y2K rating of Evolution?
It would definitely have been would buy it again. I love this movie. It was a family favorite. Everyone in our family quotes it. I could hear my dad's laugh watching it. So it was an instant classic when we first saw it.
And it's actually kind of poetic because we just recently passed the anniversary of Dad's death. So it was nice that we were doing Evolution right after that because, yeah, like you can definitely hear his laugh. He loved David Duchovny. He loved anything sci-fi and goofy. So this movie was right up his alley. I kept referring to it as a Conley family classic. And so I as well would buy again.
Yeah.
I did your dad take us all to see this movie?
He may have, because every Saturday we went to the movies, so I'm sure. And whoever was around, we all just went, get in the minivan.
Yeah, I think I saw this with you guys, and I did buy it. I don't have it anymore. I don't know if I bought it on DVD or VHS, but when I went to go look, I was like, oh, I don't have this anymore. So it might be something else I need to go buy again, I guess. All right, let's look at the box office for this one. So this movie had a budget of $80 million and it made $98.4 million worldwide. So it made just a little bit enough after making back what I didn't realize it was such a big budget, but I guess with all the CGI, that makes sense. But Lil Raj of the Chicago Sun-Times, he gave the film a 2.5 out of 4 and wrote, "It's not good, but it's nowhere near as bad as most recent comedies. It has real laughs, but it misses just as many real opportunities." Damn, Lil Raj. Damn.
When you start out with, "It's not good."
What is he meant by that?
So here's another situation where the studio, they were the original distributor, but months before production began, they sold the international distribution rights to Sony due to budget concerns. So I think this is like the third or fourth movie in a row we've kind of had where we're learning a lot about how the sauce gets made, essentially, because we didn't know all this back end distribution stuff was happening with the studios. So very interesting. But before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our podcast.
Hey guys, I'm Darcy, founder of Spirit.
And I'm Kelly, the Chief Technical Officer of Spirit.
Back in 2011, we formed the Supernatural Paranormal Investigations and Research Institute, searching for answers to mysterious things that were happening in our little corner of Canada.
And we haven't stopped searching for those answers ever since. Join us on our podcast, Canadian Spirit, as we dive into all of Canada's most famous and forgotten paranormal mysteries. Examine the evidence and try to figure out what might be behind Canada's ghosts, cryptids, and UFO encounters.
So come along for the ride and discover for yourself what makes the land of maple and hockey so wonderfully weird.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, wherever you find your podcasts.
Did you know?
I don't know.
David Duchovny turned down a role in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, in order to do this movie.
He still
he
does
has
not
never
regret
regretted it. Got it.
Yeah.
So he has never regretted this decision, which I agree.
I mean, it all depends on what role he turned down too. Like, was it one of the standout roles, main character?
I have no idea what role it was, but like the funny thing is I keep finding two different, like I looked at some articles where he was being interviewed right when he signed on to be in this movie. And he was talking about that he was asked to be in episode 3. But then all the other ones are saying episode 2. So I'm like, this is a direct quote from him saying episode 3. So I don't know if he misspoke. But the crazy thing is that he wanted to get away from his Mulder character in X-Files. And so he was like, yeah, I don't want to do Star Wars, but I'm going to do this Evolution movie by Ivan Reitman and be so different than the X-Files. It actually, when he got the script, he was like, and he saw that there was aliens, he was like, damn it.
Can't get away.
But he actually gives credit to this film to helping his next phase in his career, because after he finished the X-Files, he started doing a different TV show. And oh gosh, I can't remember.
Was it
what it was called.
Californication?
Yes. And it was this, like, doing the comedy in this movie that kind of helped him be able to make that transition, which I was like, baby, you were in Please Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, a comedy classic. You've already been in your bag. Like, what's the problem?
I mean, we'll get into it more, but this movie is so perfectly cast. Like, there's not a single character where I'm like, oh, I could have seen someone else in this role.
Yeah.
Apparently, Michael J. Fox was offered an unspecified lead role, but turned it down due to his battle with Parkinson's.
I could so see him being in it. I just don't know if he would replace anybody else, though.
Yeah. Will Smith was considered for the role of Harry. Don't touch Orlando Jones in this movie. Like,
he's so good. Look at him. So perfect.
Between him and Sean William Scott, like I laughed out loud so many times, and it's just the reaction and physicality of their comedy is
Mhm.
just, it's genius.
Sean William Scott's eyes just look like bug-eyed at some points. Like he does that like stare off into the distance like nothing is going on upstairs so well.
The
So
scene
well.
in the beginning where they're like turning his car back over and he has like the goggle line and his face is just full of ash and he's just staring with like his mouth agape. He's just like, and I was like, what is this face? But I was fucking dying.
He's so good. Like even in the American Pie movies, he was such a clutch character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him. Like how did he fall off the planet? I don't know where Sean William Scott went because I feel like we're missing his spark in current movies somehow.
I know Rehab at one point.
Oh, well, there's that.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a formula for his silliness.
There's some stuff, but like I think he's definitely much better now. The last thing I really saw him on was the Lethal Weapon TV show that they had because there was like drama because the original guy that they had cast left the show. I don't remember what happened or why. And you should have been watching that TV show, Jackie, because it had your boy Damon in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Senior or junior?
Senior.
Oh.
Yeah.
Going back to Michael J. Fox, though, I was just reading, he was considered for the role of Wayne, which is Sean William Scott's character, and I
Don't
cannot
see that.
compute that. That would never work. It couldn't
Maybe
be.
they rewrote it a little bit. I'm not sure.
Or let Sean William Scott just be Sean William Scott in the role.
Facts. Well, it says that Sean William Scott was asked to audition after starring in Road Trip, which again, that's one of Reitman's movies that he produced.
Mhm.
And yeah, so he was able to try out and he beat out Jerry Traynor, who was instead cast in a lesser role. So
John Cusack and Leonardo DiCaprio were considered for the role of Ira Kane, played by David Duchovny.
I could
maybe see John Cusack.
Yeah.
Not Leo. Leo's got too much lead man energy. Like he's too cool for that role.
And maybe not in not in this time frame. Like we haven't really seen him do kooky comedies.
That's true.
Ever.
Yeah.
And John Cusack, I don't think he's funny enough to do this.
Yeah.
No.
He's likable.
Yes.
He's a likable guy, but yeah, he doesn't have that silly air to him.
Yeah,
kind of.
he would have been more like the straight guy to Harry's foil.
And David Duchovny has a way about him that he could be an asshole that
And
like
still
just
charming.
and still
And you're
charming at
just
the
like,
same time.
okay.
Yeah. You're like, I hate you, but or you can see why everybody's so mad at him. You're like, yeah I get it. Like I can see it. Now, Julianne Moore, the whole time I watched this movie again, I was like, why didn't we just get Gillian Anderson? I mean,
I know, it would have been
saying,
so good. It would have been too
on the nose. Yeah.
Too on the nose.
The people coming out like, this was too funny for an X-Files movie.
Yeah. But
you
Julianne
get some
Moore,
bros saying stuff.
Julianne Moore did a great job. But
she did.
It was offered, or they were considering Jennifer Aniston for this role. And I'm glad they didn't. Another person that was considered was Robbie Coltrane for the role of General Woodman. I don't see it.
No.
But the guy who played him is the guy from Monk. So that's all. So I felt like he's an authority figure. We need to listen to him.
Wait, I'm thinking of someone. Who was the guy that was like, he's a very specific voice. Hold on.
Phil Dunphy?
No, it wasn't Phil Dunphy. The cameos in this movie are out of control too. There's so many different people.
That was his movie debut.
Yeah.
Was
Ty
it?
Burrell.
Yeah.
Ty Burrell. Is that how you say his last name?
Burrell, I think.
Burrell. Oh.
It was the General Woman guy, Ted Levine, who plays Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Bill Murray was considered for the role of Governor Lewis. I like Dan Aykroyd in this.
I I liked that touch that he brought to the mayor, like just very quick to the point and like no nonsense,
Yeah.
like quick talker.
Yeah, I liked him a lot too.
Yeah. And I
think-
love that while they were shooting, he was bored. And so he would just go knock on people's houses, like knock on doors in the neighborhood and just like invite himself in and like visit with people that lived in Pagers. And
How cool would that be?
be like, oh, Dan Aykroyd, please come in.
Except I ignore every knock on my door, so I'd miss him entirely. I play it back on my Ring doorbell and say, look.
Let me just tell you this, and this will continue throughout the episode. I made dinner for me and Nana, and I didn't expect her to sit and watch. She doesn't like creepy crawly things at all, like at all. So she sat there and watched it. She's like, like it added a layer to this movie.
I love that.
I feel like I need to start showing more people this movie who haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a sleeper because going back to the box office, clearly it wasn't a huge hit when it first came out. People didn't realize what they were missing until they see it and they're like, oh, this is really funny.
And I feel like CGI for the most part holds up.
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know it was nominated for an Oscar for special effects?
No.
I was like, this is an Oscar nominated film we are watching.
I think the perfect double feature would, especially like for your dad, it would be this movie and Galaxy Quest. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna add one more tidbit of information about cast. So what was his name? Ted Levine. So we had him who played in Silence of the Lambs, and then we have Julianne Moore who played Clarice in the Hannibal movies. So it's a nice little connection there.
What was Ted Levine? What character did he play?
He was the general, wasn't he?
In this movie, but he was Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. He was the main creep.
Was he?
Yeah.
Why did I always think it was this other guy? That blowing my mind. Who's the guy that I always thought it was?
I don't know.
He looks like Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Roberts, but it's not Eric Roberts, but he looks like creepy weird like him. Oh, fuck.
My mom loved Eric Roberts. She had a big crush on him.
Big crush.
She's the only one, because I've never heard it in my life. Let's dive into the movie because, man, we're already off course, but that's fine.
The movie opens and we're introduced to
Sean William Scott's character, Wayne.
Yeah. He is training to be a firefighter. So he's found this shack in the middle of the desert. He's going to light on fire and save his precious CPR dummy from.
My grandma had a lot of questions. She was like, what is he doing? Why is it on fire? Why is he going in the fire? Why did he start the fire? What is that doll? Is he kissing the doll? It was a lot happening. And then when she saw the asteroid, she's like, what is that? I said, it's an asteroid or a meteor. I'm not sure which one you would call it.
Wayne is like, as he's setting up this whole elaborate scenario, he gives the dummy a whole backstory. And I was like, Danielle is fucking eating this up because she loves nothing more than a character backstory that you get to create.
Like, I loved that part, but I was more confused at the fact that, like, he had a whole canister thing of gasoline, and he poured the gasoline in the little hut, and I believe he left the gasoline in there, and so I was expecting more of an explosion than what happened. I was just like, how you're not dead?
He wasn't a very good firefighter.
He was not.
No.
This was not his journey.
And then, of course, because I'm watching it with Ken, I was like, what kind of car is that? And he like glances up as it's like flipping through the air. He's like, I believe that's a Buick Riviera. And then like I rewind it for him. He goes, I think it's a 73. And then in the next scene, Sean William Scott's character is like, what are we going to do with my 73 Buick Riv? And Ken's like, got it.
Man, that is such a superpower.
Right?
My question is, the windshield of his car, you could see it in the air separated. But then later on, he has it again.
Oh, continuity.
Mhm.
Jinx.
I also love when he's like later on still driving the car and he's like leaving his firefighter test or whatever. And the guy's trying to shut the door and he's like, I do this. And he like has a wire around the rear view or the side view mirror. Like the little things like that are like what made me just full on chuckle out loud.
Mhm.
I didn't realize how much of the movie Sean William Scott's character is not with the rest of them, like with Ira and Harry
Yeah.
for a while. Like I
Yeah.
kept saying, like, when are they gonna meet? Like, or when are they
Yeah.
gonna have their meet cute together? Because
I was
what
saying the
the
same thing. It
hell?
was like they
Two
say a
separate
plot.
movies.
Yeah, a plot
Yeah.
starts in a movie within like 30 minutes or something like that. I'm like, and it was still 30 minutes and we hadn't seen all of our core guys together yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
when does this happen? When does this come together?
I was very disappointed that they weren't having like their meeting yet. So
Yeah. So we have now met Wayne. The next scene, we meet Dr. Ira Kane, who is a biology professor, and Professor Harry Block, who is a geology professor at a local community college. And somehow, Harry is a part of some sort of association.
I feel
And-
like he just made that shit up.
And so, like, he's notified and he's the closest to the impact site. So he's asked to go collect samples of the meteorite that has crashed into the desert.
And
so-
it is to be noted that in Ira's class, in his weird ass class that he's giving, apparently A's to everybody, that we meet Danny and Deke, who are played by Michael Bauer and Ethan Suplee. I love a dim-witted idiot and his
Mhm.
brother.
And that's definitely Donkey Lips, right?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
even know where we were, Jackie.
So they're at the meteor site. They take their samples and they say that the rock is bleeding. I'm like, I would have said it's just like weeping or oozing,
Yeah.
but they went with bleeding. So they gather samples, they go back to the lab. Ira puts it under the microscope. They're undergoing very rapid mitosis to the point where like it like breaks the slide that they're
Mhm.
on. And then I was thinking, I was like, how are they doing that so rapidly? But then like in the cave, it doesn't progress as rapidly. But then at the end, I was like, oh, because like there's a heat source because there's a light underneath the microscope so you can see it. And I was like,
Mm.
Which, okay, this confused me because I'm like, is it heat or is it fire, right? Because they're in Arizona. They should have been popping off. The
But-
sun alone should have made them
yes,
grow.
but I think like caves are naturally
cooler.
yeah, they're naturally like 68 degrees or something like that.
Mhm.
So caves are naturally cool. And so I think that's what slowed down their progression. But then like once the dinosaurs got outside, I think like then they're
Got the sunlight and everything.
yeah. And so they
Should have
started
been charged up.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really irresponsible for them as scientists to like, something just came from space. You see it's oozing. You've never seen this before. And you're going to try to like say, this is my finding.
Yeah.
You better call the National Guard because
Yeah.
you don't know what the hell that is.
And
Yeah.
he's like ranting about 10 base pairs and all forms of life on Earth are 4 base pairs. And this is like, so obviously, you know, it's not from Earth. We don't know
Right.
what we're dealing with, but it's growing pretty fucking fast. And
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
Idiots.
So
They do work at like a community college or something, right? So maybe they're not
Yeah.
the best of scientists.
But Ira knows he's been in we find out
He's
later
a
he's been in
general.
the government. So
Yeah.
like he knows what's up. He knows what the protocols do.
Yeah.
that's true.
So
And
I think
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna say Harry is dumb about it for
Yeah.
sure. But Ira knows better.
And I love how their next progression is let's take a field trip and take all of these people They're not even kids. They're like full grown adults. And we have like this side character. I think her name's like Veronica or something.
Maybe.
And she's really, she wants to be Miss Arizona, and she's just in college for the optics. And she wears like chunky heel
Strappy sandals.
to like this meteorite crash site.
But I don't even know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wrote that in my notes too. Like, who in their right mind wears open-toed sandals to an underground cave to explore new creatures? Like, why would you do that?
I don't know if like one, it sounds like something Nadine would do, but I'm wondering if these idiots even told them where they were going. Because the kids, when they came out, they did have
Flashlights, right?
digging things.
Shovels.
So maybe they knew, but I don't know. Like, they don't seem like responsible teachers at all. All.
But it's so then she's like, I don't want to be girly, but I feel some like wiggling around my toes. And so there's just a million flatworms all over the ground.
The way I would have screamed. And after just watching the Olympics, all those records they broke, dust.
Nothing yet.
Okay, dust. Because there ain't no way.
It was about this point where I was like, I wonder if Danielle's having the same reaction she has to Men in Black, where she's like, her 100%. Skin is crawling the entire movie with all of these creatures.
I was itching, and I just had to keep telling myself, look at the CGI, it's so fake, it's not real. But yeah, that flatworm scene,
yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, but they figure out like the flatworms are living because there's kind of their own atmosphere on the ground, and once you remove them from that atmosphere, they die in oxygen. So they're like, it can't be too bad because they can't survive on our planet. We breathe oxygen. Little did they know. Evolution. And the government does get involved. And so they kind of take over the site. And I literally turned to Ken. I was like, what is this tent situation they got going on called? What would you call that? Entertainment room.
Okay. I was like, they're tenting for termites.
Yeah. Oh, did you also notice, Danielle, one of your crushes is a student?
John Cho?
Yeah.
Yes. It was very, like, I had to go back and look for it because I didn't see him at first. I don't think I was paying attention, but yes, my boo was in there.
Oh, I was immediately like, is that John Cho?
Yes, he was student number 3.
Yeah. Credited as student number 3. So while the government's getting set up, we see Wayne. He works at a resort, and he notices that there's flatworms coming out of the pump house. So he goes in and he's kind of investigating, grabs the bleach, and then he noticed something swimming in the pump, and it's like this little angry swimmy creature that's just like, ah. And the way he's like, and like just shuts the door.
He's just like, it's not my problem. And you know what? Every step that he made in that scene, I would have probably run had I saw all those things.
Worms.
But
yeah,
the way that
you wouldn't have gone into the room with the worms.
No. But the way he got sinister and like he I'm going to take this bleach and burn these motherfuckers up. That's me. I would have 100% done that. Burn up.
Burn,
Peter,
baby,
call me.
burn.
I don't care. It would be me or them.
So it's about this time that I guess Ira and Harry go back to the site. Military's taken over. And then we find out that Ira has been dishonorably discharged from the military because he created an anthrax vaccine, illegally administered it to like a whole platoon or battalion or whatever you call a group of soldiers. And they referred to it as cane madness. And he's kind of being subpoenaed, or whatever you call like the military term for subpoena, where he's put on the stand in a courtroom and he has to list all of the side effects. And it was like, he starts out with like the typical like diarrhea. I can't even remember all of
Explosive flatulence
the.
is
Yes.
one of them. Because one of the guys, that scene cracks me up because he was like, "Your name's Ira Kane, the Ira Kane," and he starts pulling for his gun. I was like, "Yeah, I would have done the same. The way those symptoms." But I have a question: why was Allison deposing him, like asking him questions? She's not a lawyer.
No, she's head of the
Scientist.
CDC, or she's like a scientist for the CDC.
But we all know from the CBS classic Jag that they have lawyers within the military to handle that. So I just found that to be like, you know what? Somebody said, you don't need this character. Let's just let Allison do it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Well, because we need more screen time and banter between Julianne Moore and David Duchovny.
Yeah.
But I just looked it up. It's partial facial paralysis, temporary blindness, drooling, bleeding gums, erectile dysfunction, uncontrollable flatulence. I think.
I love that.
And then I took a note. She asked him one more question. Do you happen to remember what the soldiers called this illness? And he said, yes, they called it the Kane madness. And I'm like, it was such a miss on rhyming there. It should have been Kane's pain or something like that. Kane madness doesn't fit.
Yeah,
I think the writers missed it there.
That is a huge miss.
Missed opportunity.
This
And so
movie
as Ira and Harry are driving away from the military site, we get full Duchovny moon as he's just like, fuck y'all, I'm out, and just moons the entire military operation. And then after the court scene, he goes back to his lab. It's ransacked. And I love where he's listing all the things they took and he goes, the JPEG file.
Right. When that happened, I said, okay, this is 2001. They don't know that they're going to say this and we're going to think it's some big term. Like it's some real important shit.
Yeah.
It has not aged well.
No. I literally wrote down, not the JPEG file.
Because then I was like, it's a picture?
Yeah. Like what pictures of the slides? Like, what are we taking pictures of? Did you screen cap stuff?
They just used a technology word that they didn't think the general public was ever going to know.
Yeah.
Joke's on them.
Should have gone with PDFs. That makes way more sense.
Or they could have said GIF.
Yes. So now they just decide to break in because the military's broken into his lab. Yeah.
And I had questions about that. I'm like, oh, so you just pull your old military outfit on and you could just get into this facility? Like,
well, they snuck in a little bit. They cut some barbed wire.
No.
And so they put on the containment suits, which are behind Danielle. And Orlando Jones, Harry, feels like he's on Soul Train. He's
really feeling himself the whole time.
He's in like the little elevator, just grooving. He's a performer in his own mind. And that's what catches the eye of the security people watching the monitors. They're like, who the fuck is that? Like, there's no sanctioned person supposed to be going down there. And he's like busting a move in the elevator.
They take so long from a security standpoint to go find out that they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
The moment that it was kind of weird and it wasn't like jotted down somewhere that they were supposed to be there, security should have gone immediately to check if they've been breached. Yeah. But maybe it's just like in their mind they didn't think anybody could breach them. I don't know. But I'm like, this can't be the government, but also it probably can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then unbeknownst to Harry and Ira, they can hear each other through the microphones, but control room can also hear them. So they call Allison in. He's talking, like, they're looking at all it because, like, obviously things are evolving, and so there's all these like little buggy creatures and stuff crawling around. There's like one that has a big, it looks like a butt, on its head. And like Harry is somehow like aroused by that.
It's a nasty ass bug butt thing.
It is.
Nothing good about it.
And he's like, oh, look at that go.
Harry's just a butt man, you know?
It's
It
fair.
is what it is.
And then like Ira's like, just snag one, snag one. So Harry's going and like talking to the bug, like, just climb into my hands. I'm like, you have a thing, just scoop it. But then the tree eats it. And it's like this creature that looks like a tree.
Where's the net from Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Like, it's very easy to catch.
And then they start talking about Allison as they're trying to grab a specimen of some kind. They call her a humorless ice queen. And then Harry says all she needs is a good humping. And then proceeds to like hump behind Ira as they're walking through the cave. Comedic genius.
Bunch of idiots. And then she's like listening to them go on like high schoolers, like, you just need to bang her out one good time. That's all she needs.
And so Allison goes down as they're trying to get another sample from the meteorite itself. She catches them, and Harry throws the pickaxe that he is holding.
But it only goes 2 feet and lands in a clump of nothing. The way that he tries to hide his evidence and it fails is so perfect.
The bug, this scene, I felt it in my body, in
your
my skin.
jellies.
I was having a symbiotic relationship with Harry in this scene at this point. The moment this dragonfly, big booty
Mosquito
Becky thing
Yeah.
took its stinger and just slid and cut into his clothes.
And then he just screams, "It's in me."
There's no way. And why does it survive inside of him and not
like,
outside of him?
And when I have
Maybe because there's no oxygen inside of him, like no free
breathing,
no, but there is oxygen in there. That's all it is in there. Is oxygen. And
well, and like, wouldn't he
What?
have like all of these like internal injuries since the bug is like literally tunneling through his like muscle? Like,
yeah, he should be dead.
yeah.
Like,
But
none of this
instead,
makes sense.
They're like, it's crawling in his leg, and they're like, we may need to take the leg, and then it turns around and like it's heading for his testicles, and they're like, take the leg. But then it heads towards the colon, so they flip him over, and they're having these discussions like, oh, we're gonna go in through the rectum, blah blah blah. There's no time for lubricant.
There's always time. But also, like, I'm no doctor, but like, I don't think clamps are going up into the colon to catch a bug.
And especially also not coming out that clean. There'd be a whole lot more mess.
A lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm like, why did Black Man had to have the fly go up his butt? Just saying.
And I'm also not a doctor, but I don't think like a bug going under someone's skin can just like make their way into the colon. Like, aren't there like organs and like when you get a C-section, they got to cut through like 8 layers of body parts to get to you.
Or you now have a perforated colon, and we have like internal bleeding and shit we need to be worried about.
Yeah.
Right. The science wasn't sciencing. Yeah.
This is a very scientifically accurate movie, Danielle. What are you talking about?
I got questions.
This whole scene, from the moment, like you described, Danielle, the bug slices his uniform to when he asked for ice cream for his butt at the end, I didn't stop laughing. It was so good. And Keith, my husband, when he watches these with me or watches anything in the evenings, he works in the evenings on his laptop. So he's paying maybe 10% pay attention to what's going on the TV. But as soon as this scene started, he completely stopped and just cracked his ass off, just laughing the whole time. This is look at this face. It's
Comedy genius.
Comedy genius.
And then Allison and Ira coaching him as if he's having like giving birth. Like they're like, just breathe. You're doing so well.
I would just ask to be sedated. He should have been sedated. Like there's
there was
no
time.
way.
There was no
There's
time
always
for
time for sedation.
sedation.
That is a lie. That is a lie.
So while Ira was getting probed, back at the golf course, there's like this fancy party going on. Wayne is working, and there's like this really like smarmy guy that's having a picnic on the golf course because it's at night, and he's gonna like bone his lady on the golf course. So he has champagne, which he wastes like half of opening.
Also,
foul.
One of the guys that is with Wayne is the actor Jerry Trainer, who we said earlier that that's who he beat out for the role. And if you like, it's not our generation, but like a younger generation watches the show iCarly, he plays the brother on iCarly. So I was like, oh, I've never seen him in anything else before. So
we're too old.
Yeah.
And that annoying golf club or country club member guy, he's another random cameo. He played President Logan in season, I think, 5 of 24. Both times I've tried to watch the series of 24, I've fallen off around season 5 because he's the most annoying president in the history of 24. So another random cameo.
So while the guy's like washing the champagne out of his pans, this like kind of alligator dragon thing leaps out of the water and essentially eats him. The lady goes screaming into the country club, and Wayne's like, I got this. How did Wayne find out about Ira and Harry?
He met them when they came on site the first time.
That's right.
He was trying to leave for his firefighting test. So that's how he met them the first time. But that creature that like there's nothing that could have got me to collect that carcass. Okay?
They chased it around
not the thickest gloves, not a hazmat suit, and the teeth. This is what my grandma said, look at the teeth. Yes, look at the teeth. Gross. Like they were this big. Oh Jesus. I wasn't really, I'm unwell. I'm unwell.
You're reliving it.
It's so gross.
I have a serious question for me, but I know it's a ridiculous question for anyone else. But do you know that if you ever see a possum dead on the side of the road, the most humane thing that you could do is check it for babies in its pouch? Aww. Would you be able to do that?
Well, if you want to hear Danielle's reaction to Heather's hypothetical question, head on over to patreon.com and become a No More Late Fees bestie to get all of the juice. So now we're in just like a book club's home, and this is
the moment.
My favorite little squishy.
The way that these women were so calm when they saw, she's like, I think you've got a infestation. I would have been like, Mary, I gotta go. I will see you later. I don't know what you got going on over here, girl. I got an exterminator on speed dial. I will send you the link. I'm out of here. I wouldn't even had all that conversation. And I would never eat over there again.
Yeah, you can't.
And I want to know, was there a breakdown between the script and the CGI? Were these ladies just not like, did they need their eyes checked? Because they kept calling it a dog.
There's no dog looking. I would have said a frog or a toad or something.
Yeah, like some sort of amphibian. Or
I would, y'all are saying it's cute. It is, because like I know it's
Look at him.
CGI. But if I had seen that in real life, the absolute high-pitched scream and the jump, like I would have beat any hurdles champion,
I can
because
picture it.
there ain't no those. I think the thing that scares me the most in this world isn't just like these creepy animals, but things that I have never seen before. You know, when they keep discovering new animals in the ocean, that's why I don't fuck with the ocean. I'm like, what else is down there trying to come up from the seeps of the earth to find me? That's how I feel.
I want to send you so many animals, but I also don't want to torture you. I don't want to
don't
make
do
it
it.
hard for you.
No.
so yeah, they're trying to pet the dog, and little chicken tongue comes out, bites the lady's hand. The other lady goes to get a gun because she's going to shoot the dog now, and then he like starts gasping for air and then deflates like a little balloon. Very sad.
Let me tell you. Again, I wouldn't have gotten to this little gremlin thing or whatever this is, this worm animal. I don't know what the hell to call it. I would have been gone. Okay. The moment I saw those dead fucking bugs in her house, gone.
Yeah.
And somebody would have had to text me in the group talking about, girl, when you left, there was this green thing that came out and we thought it was a dog. And then we went to pet it, or Mary went to pet it. And then this turkey ass tongue came out and bit her head, girl. I said, then that's why I motherfucking left. And book club, I'm getting a new one. Cause there ain't no way y'all don't clean your house. Cause that's how I got a new house.
Yeah.
Well, and the lady that got bit is cousin Catherine from the National Lampoon's Vacation series.
That's what she's from. I knew I recognized her face.
Cameos all over the place.
Cousin Eddie's wife. Yes.
So at the same time, like the like obviously they call 911 because the deflating dog is worrisome for them. And Ira, Harry, and Wayne are at a diner eating breakfast. And another like laugh out loud part was when like Wayne is just like hoovering food into his mouth. And Harry looks over and he's like, "Are you going to eat your bacon?" And Wayne just goes, "I ordered it, didn't I?" Like, just the delivery on that. I'm
like, why wouldn't I eat it if
Yeah.
I ordered it? Yeah.
So they're sitting there and Ira's ex-girlfriend is there, and there's like some thing about like she didn't give him back his shirt. So they're yelling at one another.
It's a really dumb scene for some
Yes.
reason. Like, I just felt like they could have taken it out. It wasn't needed. It's probably also because I hate Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
Like, hate her.
Yeah. So her new boyfriend is a cop. And so they overhear his dispatch go off and say that there's a 1272. And because Wayne is studying to become a firefighter, he's like, that's an animal attack. I wonder if it's related to all these animals. Because Wayne has brought them the dead body of like the alligator thing that ate the guy. So they all are like, okay, let's go and check it out. So they show up. They kind of just like sweet talk their way into the house type thing. And so Harry and Ira are looking at little squidgy here. And Wayne is just wandering around the property. Well, this house sits at the top of like a hill overlooking the desert. And there's just dragons, flying dinosaurs as far as the eye can see. They're all dead, but there's a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, they're evolving even more. And then that's when they figure out like all the caves are interconnected. And so they're getting out into the communities surrounding the impact site.
Which the government should have known that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
science.
yeah. But they're trying to figure that shit out, like what to do next, because I think they find one of the dragons. They're trying to go find one of the dragons flying. I guess that's what we're gonna call it. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully
so they
dragon.
go down to all the dead dragons, and one starts moving around, and they're like, they can't survive in our atmosphere. But then he like loogies up a baby dragon.
A baby sack.
Yeah.
He gave birth through his mouth.
Which is a weird way to procreate, but whatever.
Right.
And this baby dragon is oxygen tolerant. So now there's an even bigger problem because now they can survive in Earth's atmosphere. So now we're at the mall.
Yes.
Let's all go to the mall. So we see, I just call her the thief. So there's this girl stealing a bunch of shit in a dressing room. The dragon is flying through the mall. He like busts through the dressing room, grabs her. So the dragon now has this girl flying through the mall. Ira, Harry, and Wayne grab shotguns and are like trying to find it, but it's like hiding now. And so then Wayne finds a microphone.
Doesn't he do caca like Sean William Scott? Doesn't he do caca in another movie? I could not place it.
I don't
Not
know
that I
if
know
he
of.
does. I know like the caca tookie tookie is from the original George of the Jungle cartoon.
Mm,
I
Oh, I
said
didn't know.
original weird. I apologize.
Here's my question. If fire gets them all riled up, right? Why would a gunshot not cause issue? Why would it kill them instead of like...
Well, it's still tearing through their flesh.
Yeah, it still causes trauma.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But so did the napalm, no?
No.
Because it's an explosion.
Right, but I think napalm is like
Inhalant.
yeah, and it like incinerates you at the same time.
Mm.
I was just confused by that,
Yeah.
by the gun situation.
I just flipped the page in my notes and we forgot a couple of memorable things that Harry says when the baby loogie comes out. The first is he goes, "Great Googa Mooga."
Oh, yeah.
But then he also, when the loogie dragon emerges, he says, "Mazel tov, it's a boy." Back to Wayne on the mic. So then he gets the
What's up?
caca.
So he does the caca, but this is the moment I realized that essentially he has a mullet in this movie
Yes.
that I don't know why I didn't realize until this scene. But yeah, he's singing on the mic and he somehow that's the dragon call.
Caca. Well, he's like, caca, caca, tookie, 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 tookie. And Orlando Jones just looks at it like, I'm going to kill him. And obviously, caca, caca, and tookie, tookie don't work.
But it's much more like melodic than that. He like
Yeah.
sings all. I can't even impersonate it, but it's so good. It's top 3 like moments in this movie. So good.
And he has kind of a good voice when he starts to really sing a little bit, and then he's not knowing the words and does a horrible job.
Yeah,
But
he starts
does...
singing, "You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see?"
I do love that the dragon kidnaps like all those people there, but he goes and knocks on the dressing room door of this girl who's clearly layering a bunch of clothes on because she's teething. And he knocks on the door. She finally opens it and he grabs her and he's flying around with her. He doesn't eat her, which I was surprised because
the same thing. I'm like, why doesn't he just attack her and eat her?
Right. So they make sure that they get the girl when the dragon comes, and that's when they can start shooting it and they kill it dead. I didn't remember the scene. Like I didn't really remember much from the original movie, like when I first saw it. So all of this was like brand new. So I, for some reason, thought the dragon was going to come back to life. I don't know why.
For a second.
Yeah.
They had to do a kill shot.
Double tap.
Yeah. And then immediately, I really like this transition where like they're real proud they've killed this dragon. And then it's them in Ira's Jeep driving back out to the military base. And it's the music is play that funky music, white boy.
Mhm.
And they're just fucking jamming.
They
Like
are.
they
They're
are.
having their moment.
And that's when we're introduced to Dan Aykroyd's character. He's the governor of Arizona. He's pissed no one's told him about what's happening in his
There's
beloved
fucking aliens in my state, and y'all didn't think to tell me whatsoever so we could come up with a plan to tell the people in the town. This reminds me of Teen Wolf, the TV show, because on Teen Wolf and even on Buffy, when vampires would like attack people, they would just be like, oh, it's an animal attack, and it just kept happening. And
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all ain't got this under control yet.
Yeah.
At one point, Harry yells at, I think it's the general or whoever, liar, liar, pants on fire, but I can't remember why.
I think it's because he was saying that they broke into his lab or whatever. So they bust in on the governor and Allison and all of them having a meeting because they're like, we just hunted down this damn dragon. Y'all don't know what the hell's going on. And so they're the scientists who found them first. So like they're going back and forth because the sergeant, is that
I
what his
guess,
title
yeah.
is? He's saying that he's lying on them essentially. So he says a lie that they kind of like fuck shit up, and it really isn't. So that's what makes him go liar, liar, pants on fire.
So the military decides we're going to just nuke them with napalm. And like they've
Right.
said, like the next day at noon, that's when this is going to happen. So, and Allison,
She doesn't
Harry and-
agree. She doesn't agree with doing a napalm. She thinks that they need more time to kind of figure stuff out. Like scientifically, you don't just blow this stuff up. And I guess for a scientist, all they've ever wanted is to find aliens. They want to study it. They want to figure out why it's being able to evolve. Like napalming them would just completely get rid of all the evidence and stuff. So I think that's why she's pissed, and that's why she goes with Ira, Harry, and Wayne.
Yeah.
Back
And so
to the school.
Yeah, they're back at the lab, and she steals their research back, like from like as she's leaving. So she gives it to them. They're kind of looking at things. Harry is dumb. He like lights a cigarette and then flicks the match, which lands in the petri dish of blue blood goo. And like it starts like rapid evolution of the cells. So they're like, oh, fire is an accelerant for this species. And then at the same time, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and Deke and Danny end up being with them too, because when they're walking into the school, they're having like all the students are just partying. They're like, this is the end of the world, whatever. And so I forget why they followed the professors, but they end up being with them too.
Yeah.
When this accelerates and they're trying to figure out a plan.
Yeah. And Allison is wearing a shirt with a periodic table on it. And so they're like, Ira's looking at it and he's like, well, if you do the night move on a chessboard.
Because this is science.
Yeah. It's literally what he does.
We're oxygen-based life forms, and they're nitrogen-based life forms. So when you do the same move, if on our side, arsenic is the thing that is poisonous to us, then they go down and psyllium is what should be poisonous to them. And then they're trying to figure out, how do we get that much? And then this is when Deke and Danny become in clutch, and they're like, oh, we can get it for you. No problem. And they're like, what do you mean you could get it? Like head and shoulders, baby. Why do you think our scalps are just so nice and
clean,
like free?
Yeah.
So I was like, damn.
But how did they get so much of it? What was their hookup with?
Just go to stores.
Walmart, I guess. I don't know. That's a valid question, because like, did they go to Sam's Club? Like, what's going on here? How'd they get so much?
And they go back and with this plan, and at the same time they're watching the like monitors of like what's happening down in the cave, And now the creatures have evolved to primates and they're like actively smashing all of the cameras.
Those green, those
Opinions
blue
about the
monkeys,
primates?
those blue monkeys are terrifying.
Like, I didn't think it could get worse. And it did, because those animals seem so close to something that I already knew that it made me freak out even more. And then it also reminded me of what they look, Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans and
Oh yeah.
from
Yeah. And Jeff Goldblum.
That look kind of reminded me of what they looked like before they got their makeovers. So that kind of like calmed me down a little bit, but all in all, your girl was scared. Okay.
Yeah, those things were really scary.
Yeah.
There is also a part, I guess, when Allison gets in the car with them to leave, Ira asked, "Do you think you could ever be attracted to me?" So he asks Allison that. So as they're, go ahead.
I felt like their romance was just forced and unneeded. Like they didn't have enough moments for me to be invested in this. It almost just felt like this thing that I'm like, can we
situational.
focus on what the problem is? I would have been fine at the end they like kissed, fine, but like these weird moments just felt heavy handed instead of like natural, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't mind the like banter between them if it had just stayed at banter. Like you understand there's like this underlying sexual tension. Maybe there's a past, maybe there's gonna be a future, but we don't spend any time on that in this movie, you know?
Yeah. I also don't think their chemistry was so smoking hot that it made any sense for me. Like the way that they dumbed down this very smart, beautiful woman doesn't make any sense to me. Her sleeping with him in the fire truck in the midst of all this doesn't make any sense for me. That's just my thoughts. Cause I'm like, Allison, I know Allison. She wouldn't do this shit.
Now they have this plan. They commandeer a fire truck and fill it with selenium Head and Shoulders, and which selenium wasn't added to a Head and Shoulders shampoo until after the movie. So they were wrong at the time.
Did they create their special sauce?
I think they actually they approached Head and Shoulders prior to the movie to see if they wanted to be included, and I think at first they said no. And then afterwards, because I think it was I forgot whose idea on set it was to make the commercial that they have at the end. But I do believe that they actually used the commercial later. Head and Shoulders actually used it as a commercial later, as like after the movie. So
yeah,
they got on board eventually.
So they were driving the fire truck full of Head and Shoulders to the site where they're supposed to napalm, and they're trying to get there to do their selenium before the napalm happens. And Allison turns to Ira and she was like, "I would have rocked your world." And so like we get another like random like, okay, cool. So they show up and like this is one of Danielle's favorite scenes where the governor is like, "Oh, you're keeping my seat warm for me," because he wants a front row view of
I don't
the
know what
napalm.
he orders, but it impresses me so much because I'm like, yes, I would like that. I would like to bark that order at someone. Oh, I need a hot chocolate and something. I don't know what he asked for, but I was like, yes, get that man his hot chocolate. Also the selenium is also made as a reference in Ghostbusters when Ray explains the specifics of Dana's building. So I guess Ivan really likes it. I don't know. Because like, how often does that come up in life?
We need to commit it to memory. So when the end of the world comes up or the alien invasion comes around, clearly he's onto something. It's worked twice before.
So they're a little too late. They've already started to napalm, and you just see like this big blobby thing with a butthole expand over the cave, and it's giant. And so they're like,
why it has a butthole.
I don't.
Sorry,
do one cell organisms have a butthole?
No, I don't think so. It's just
maybe it's the point of origin, like it's the birthing hole.
I love how like it has a butthole, and then if you watch, have you ever seen the Jordan Peele movie? Nope. Spoilers if you haven't. There's a similar situation of a like it has some sort of mouth butthole thing because it's just like sucking it up. And it's like very similar that's like the point of entry. And then also an Independence Day. So okay, when we're dealing with aliens,
Alien
for some reason,
buttholes.
There's a
alien
portal.
buttholes is
Like-
just like this thing.
Yeah. That's what makes things
Interesting.
happen.
I love talking about an alien butthole. So it's big and giant and wobbly, and it's starting to go through mitosis. So they're like, we have to hurry the fuck up because there's about to be more of these bitches.
Yeah.
And so Harry is at the top of the ladder and he has the fire hose and he's like trying to get it up there, but he can't really. And then like the sphincter muscles contract and then he gets sucked up into the alien butthole like that. Like it goes down and then it comes up. And so Harry's inside, but he's committed to his role and he gets everything in there and then it explodes everywhere.
You know, this entire scene was very hard for me to watch. I did it. But then what really made me want to throw up in my mouth is that once the deed was done and they were back on solid ground, that Ira and Allison start making out. They start making out with nasty ass dead
Alien
parts goo on them.
Butthole goo.
And when they make out, Allison pulls back, wipes his face with the hands that are already covered with the goo, and then goes to proceed to make out again. Oh.
Booty hole goo make out scene.
Because like, ew.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
she like wipes away her mouth.
It's terrible.
But then they all live happily ever after.
Maybe it's an
Sure.
aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something in
Oh, ugh.
And they get a Head and Shoulders promo deal out of
I
it.
love that Harry, when they do the commercial, his Head and Shoulders is backwards. Like it's not even facing the right way.
there.
We did it, guys. We did
did it.
Evolution.
I love
Look at
this
this
movie. Look
How
at
can
him.
you not love this face?
Totally does it.
Oh, my eyes twitching. Let's see what fun facts that we missed so far.
So when Orlando Jones's character Harry is admiring that alien bug booty, this is a direct reference to his successful 7-Up advertising campaign for viewers to show us your cans.
I
Mhm.
remember that commercial. Like I kept thinking, how did he get this? For a second, I thought it was Sprite, but it was 7-Up. You're right. At the end of the film, when we're just talking about the Head and Shoulders commercial, the idea of the commercial actually came from Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan, which I thought was nice. Now
Yeah.
he's a director.
So Evolution was based on a story by Don Jacoby, who originally wrote it as a serious science fiction horror thriller
Mm.
until Reitman hired David Diamond and David Weissman to rewrite much of the script into a comedy which Jacoby did like. And then the rewritten script also combined elements of another screenplay, which was a comedy written by Todd Phillips and Scott Armstrong about 3 friends who hunt aliens. So it kind of is a little collab effort. Not bad.
Yeah, and apparently Jacoby was initially upset about the script, of like the change of tone and atmosphere, but Diamond and Weissman worked really closely with him to ensure that the final product was something he was happy with, and I guess he was, because
Yeah.
didn't hear any complaints after that.
So the original script actually ended with the alien organisms evolving into an ultra intelligent humanoid species, but it would have climaxed with a battle of wits, but the ending was deemed not exciting enough and was replaced instead with the climax scene in the final film.
I just imagine it being like the end of Billy Madison, where they're just like
Nothing you said made any sense.
We are all dumber.
Yeah. So the movie was shot in December, and DreamWorks actually went and asked the locals to delay putting up their Christmas decorations. And so following the shoot, DreamWorks were paid for the city employees to have overtime and light up the town in time for Christmas.
That's
So
nice.
That's cool.
The clumsiness in Allison was Julianne Moore's idea. I liked it. I liked those little like stumbles or her jacket getting caught in the door.
okay, so early in the film, we talked about Nadine. Well, she says that she wants to be Miss Arizona. So that part where the governor is presenting awards to all the heroes at the end, you can see Nadine in the background wearing a Miss Arizona sash. So I give props
Atta
for my
girl.
girl following her dreams.
She made her dreams. She manifested it. Good for her.
All right. Well, if you have any thoughts about this movie, any of our hard opinions, make sure to hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. And let's get into our present day ratings.
Heather.
I didn't want to say the same answer I had as my Y2K self because I feel like every movie I review is one of my favorites and I come out the same, but I really, it's a would buy it again. I love this movie. Anytime I see it on, I will watch it. It's very enjoyable.
All right, Jackie, what was your rating?
It will forever be a would buy it. I just love it. It makes me happy. It makes me laugh out loud. It makes me think of Dad. It's just, it's always going to be one of those Conley family classics.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I feel pressure.
Speak from the heart, Danielle. No judgment. There were a lot of creepy crawlies in there for you that you had to.
It was so hard. I
You
don't
did
know
so well.
why I liked it so much the first time when I know how I feel about these creepy crawlies. But yeah, I think this one is definitely like a nostalgia thing. I know that we watched it a lot growing up, and so I'm going to say would buy it again because pressure and and you know what? I love when a Ron Conley classic especially gets put on our
2024 employee picks of the year.
In honor of Ron Conley. It's
Woohoo! So if you have anything you want to add, how underrated this cinematic classic is, if you want to do your best Tookie Caca impression, or I am still waiting for someone to sing me 1,000 goddamn miles from the White Chicks movie, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601 NMLF. Twat us at the Twitters, hum us at the Threads, and you could be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week as we dive into the chaos that is 1996 Freeway, starring Reese Witherspoon and Kiefer Sutherland.
That's going to be wild.
Mm-hmm.
trying to remember the plot of that. I will look forward to that episode.
Yes.
Remind me.
And as always, sister, it's good talking to you. Thank you
You
for
guys
hopping
too.
on.
Thank
so much
you.
fun. I really love being part of it. So thank you for welcoming me back.
And as always, be kind and rewind.